So if you're someone who wants to reduce their sugar intake but not necessarily cut off sugar completely, in this video we're going to talk about 3 ways on how to reduce your sugar intake realistically. There's a lot of videos on how people stopped eating sugar and no longer eating sugar for a year. I honestly tried to attempt that for about 4 days until I realized that it makes it much harder to find foods to eat, especially because I already only eat a predominantly plant-based lifestyle. So it's like to have that and then to add the sugar on top of that was just way too much. So I started to understand that I don't necessarily want to remove sugar just because I know that it's basically in everything that we eat, but there is a way to be more mindful of how much sugar you are intaking and also finding healthier alternatives for the sugars that you are using. So the first one is to have a boundary on the amount of sugar in your drinks. When it comes to reading your drinks, there are 2 lines. There's one line that has the total sugar and then another line that has added sugar, and then there's a percentage in the corner. So if you have a particular juice that you enjoy, one thing that may actually benefit of still enjoying the juice that you enjoy but just being more mindful of the sugar intake is to dilute your juice. And you can honestly start off with a little bit of water and then the rest juice, and then slowly increase the amount of water to juice ratio, or get a juice that you like and add seltzer, plain seltzer water to it. The next tip is to have red zone words. I label it red zone words because it's basically learning how to read the ingredients label at the bottom, because one thing that I felt for when I was trying to understand health and what worked for my body was not understanding that just because it says no sugar added, it does not mean that there's no sugar added. For me, what I look for are red zone words that if it has it in there, I really don't touch it if I don't have to. And if I can't find a replacement, then that's when I make the decision of what type of ingredients I'm okay with and what type of ingredients I'm not. So when it comes to ingredients, look at the words in the ingredients label, because just because it says no sugar added doesn't necessarily mean that there's no sugar added. Look for words like maltose, I think it is, dextrose, sucrose, high fructose corn syrup. Those are all different forms of sugar. Really pay attention to what words you don't want in your foods. Have certain words where it gives you a red flag to possibly see if there is an alternative option. And the third way to reduce your sugar intake is to look at the things that you are considering healthy. I am someone who's definitely guilty of this because I used to be someone who drank vitamin water. I drank bottled smoothie drinks. I would have kombucha just because I know it's good for gut health. But certain things that I didn't understand and realize was just because they come off as healthy, those are still just pure sugar. It's just a way of making you think you're eating something, you're having something healthy, but it's actually just a lot of sugar that you're drinking. So when it comes to these healthy bottled drinks, really look at the amount of sugar in it, because that will end up either working in your benefit of realizing, okay, the lower amount of sugar, the more nutrients I'm getting from that bottle, or feel like you are getting those actual nutrients when really it's just full of sugar. So either pay attention to how much sugar is in it and see if there's just a different one you could do, or just make it at home. And one last way of reducing your sugar intake is by creating healthy sugar alternatives. So what I mean by that is relying on as much whole foods that have natural sugars in it. So for me personally, when I first started drinking smoothies, I didn't pay attention to how much sugar was in almond milk. I didn't pay attention to how much sugar was in nut milks, period. And it wasn't until I started paying more attention to that I was trying to figure out how to make it much more healthier, because not only was I putting in the milk with sugar already in it, I was also putting in peanut butter that had sugar in it. I was also putting in maple syrup, which is basically sugar. I was putting all these different types of sweeteners in it, and what I didn't realize was how much sugar was actually affecting my skin. So one thing that I started doing was figuring out ways to just make it sweeter without using actual sugar. So when it came to smoothies, instead of using maple syrup or milk with sugar added to it or peanut butter with sugar added to it, I just added dates as the sweetener instead. And what's great about adding dates to your sweetener, number 1, it tastes really good. Number 2, it's very sweet. And number 3, is a natural food, and it also provides fiber. So those are 3 to 4 ways that you can drastically and realistically reduce your sugar intake. Definitely let me know if this video was helpful and which one do you plan on implementing in your life. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and and I will see you guys in the next video.